So the one thing, the biggest thing, how long have I worked with you, really? I worked with you
Yeah,
for about,
you worked with me for a few months. Oh, was it
like,
about a year? But and then so we did some work, and then you had a break, and then you came back for ayahuasca.
yeah, we did because I initially signed up for that first retreat in Colombia that I wasn't able to
Yeah,
attend. So we
yeah.
had worked together a little bit there.
We just did a few. Yeah, that's right. We did a couple of sessions there, or a session, and then you couldn't make it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I think that, like, in that time frame, I wanna say was about, like, 5.5, 6 months.
yeah.
And even within that time frame, um, you had sent me recordings and we had had some sessions, and all of that. I think the really special thing about hypnotherapy in that realm is that it is insight from your own wisdom, right? Like, it is the keys to the things that you're ready to resolve on a very
Yeah.
personal level rather than somebody's opinion of, like, what will help allow you to move forward. It is instead this gift of, like, your inner knowing or wisdom, and having somebody to support, like, moving that information up and out of you so that you can
Right.
implement it, and having, like, that little bit of accountability in a recording even to, like, remember and to reconnect with that wisdom, and how that then begins to shift things in a way that are, like, unparalleled, in my opinion, to talk therapy, where so much of it is happening on that, like, upper level of the iceberg, right? That we can think through things again and again, but it doesn't resolve anything until we get to the deeper associations, and ultimately the, like, sensory connections that we have with that information that
Yeah.
allows it to be, get triggered, or to, like, have that overwhelming sensation or whatever it is that you're looking to resolve. Ultimately, there is something there that, like, needs to be cleared out, and you have helped me do that, and that's been really special.
And I think what you just touched on there, I think it's always surprising to anyone when we do hypnotherapy in the way that I do it. As you said, the sensory contact, the feelings that you reconnect with, the ideas, the beliefs, the perceptions, that when we ask the subconscious the right question, it just reveals. They're just
Mhm.
there, you know. And I think that always surprises people when I tell them that that is going to happen, and then it happens, you know.
Yeah,
So
and then
but I love
there's
what you said as well about it's about guiding you to your inner wisdom. All right, so because it's a collaboration, it's not about me discovering something and telling you, oh, it's this. It
Mhm.
is very much about you telling me what's coming up for you, and us exploring that to find out, well, what is that? Why is that coming up? What does that mean? What is that associated with? What is the
Yeah.
meaning you've attached to that? How is it making you behave? And then, as you say, it's about having that new perspective as the adult, because obviously everything that you're reviewing you created as a child, and being able to look at that as the adult that you now are, and to kind of say, aha, I no longer need that, it no longer serves me. And the readiness of the mind to accept the new beliefs, I think that's pretty phenomenal as well.
Yeah, I think definitely. And to recognize that, like, even though, like, that child development, right? But then you just replay it and replay it and replay it until you really are willing to make this kind of change. And it's wild to think that, like, there's so many people. I mean, now, especially with, like, where I've gotten personally, that always pops into my head, this voice that's like, that's just their child self, right? Like they don't know better, and that's sad, but like you can't be mad at their adult self for like acting like a child. But it's wild to see the perception all around and be like, wow, there's so many people that could really benefit from having this kind of work.
I think almost there's almost no one that couldn't
Yeah,
actually, right?
everybody in the whole world, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and that's why, you know, as you know, my soapbox, my big thing is that this isn't readily available when it is so powerful. But you
Mhm.
did touch on something there that was really important, and you mentioned about where you have got to. So where were you and where have you got to? What has it meant to you?
Um, well, whenever we started working together, I had just finished a coaching certification for hypnotherapy, actually for HNLP. And that I was at this place where I felt very like insecure and I didn't really know how to move it forward in life. I also am like a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. So, and I have like more certifications than I could name off right now. Like, and I have, like, I love to gather information, and then implementing it was really challenging for me. And a lot of it was around fear, like in general, and also like fear of success, which was a really interesting thing to discover that like there's parts of success that felt really scary to me.
Of course.
And now that, um, I mean, and everything is a work in progress. And like when I think of hypnotherapy, I think of waves, right? Like everything kind of the wave moves out and gets bigger and gets easier. Like it's this like carrying of momentum, and I have really felt that within myself, and in how those things that we worked on are just like now clockwork for me. Like I'm like, oh, I might still feel like, oh, I'm having a feeling of fear of success, but I'm just like, oh, I recognize you. I hear you. I don't need you. Thank you though.
Right.
Do this
Which is,
thing
yeah,
anyways.
yeah.
And then this thing that makes me kind of scared, but that's okay because it's for my best. Whereas like before that thought would come in and I would freeze and just be like, oh, I can't do anything. Like if I do this right or if I do this wrong, either way, like those are both scary outcomes. Whereas now it's like, oh, I want to do the scary thing. And my business has grown and I have even gone into like new business ventures. Um, and I think that that is because, and it's not that like it necessarily disappeared, but I have an awareness now that I can recognize it and be like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here, mind or thoughts. And it's like, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
I love that.
having that awareness is so essential
Yeah. Yeah, it's
to
that whole
stress.
rewiring and reprogramming so that these things, you're aware of them, you know them, so that they no longer stop you. So even if they turn up, you can turn them around. You can reject them because now you've got something else to replace them with. Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really great. So
So
thank you,
I
Megan. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing
thank
that.
you.
I really
Thank you
appreciate it.
so much. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry that I was having some connectivity issues,
Have a
but
go. It's so helpful, you know, to run through this and to let other people know what's possible, you know, what this work does. Because I think hypnotherapy in this particular way, it's like years of therapy in one session. You know, uh, you can uncover things that you didn't even know were there. So what you can't do in talk therapy, I think quite often a lot of the problems are people can't move forward and they can't heal because they don't actually know what they have to move forward and heal from. And it's
mhm,
being able to discover that in the subconscious so you actually understand what's happening. That's
yeah.
obviously a huge advantage.
Yeah, and the value of that is, like, also 3 years of talk
Right.
therapy,
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
so it's really wild,
yeah.
and I can imagine the challenge of having people understand how, until you've done it, you don't know how great it is,
How
so
powerful the shifts are and what it
yeah.
means. Because of course it affects every area of your life, as you know.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Well,
I really appreciate you sharing your experience, and hopefully it will make it clearer to other people what's possible and what this is all about, and that they don't have to be in therapy for years to make these massive changes.
yes, I hope so.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. If you've enjoyed my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up to show that you like it, and leave a comment. If you ask a question, I'll get back to you. And why not subscribe to the channel to make sure that you never miss any of my new content.